known and famous as a poet well before he was known as a playwright. He wrote 154 sonnets with themes ranging from mortality and endurance, beauty and its transience, and also the paradoxes of self and other, truth and delusion, love and understanding. And I'd like to read a couple of sonnets to you with those themes in mind. This is sonnet number 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, though his height be taken. Love's not time's full, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Sonnet number 55. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme, but you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with time. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and broils root out the work of masonry, nor Mars his sword, nor quick war's fire shall burn the living record of your memory. Gainst death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth. Your praise shall still find room, even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the end in doom. So, till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this, and dwell in lovers' eyes. Sonnet 37. As a decrepit father takes delight to see his active child do deeds of youth, so I, made lame by fortune's dearest spite, take all my comfort of thy worth and truth. For whether beauty, birth, or wealth, or wit, or any of these all or more, entitled in thy parts to crown it sit, I make my love engrafted to this store. So then I am not lame, poor, nor despised, whilst that this shadow doth such substance give, that I in thy abundance am sufficed, and a part of all thy glory live. Look what is best, that best I wish in thee. This wish I have, then 10 times happy me. Thank you very much.
Collection of Shakespeare's sonnets and also with recitation too, which is absolutely beautiful. I think you've taken us back to ancient history and kind of brought it to the fore in this very this evening. Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to Dr. Pyara Singh Bobo and his group. We're going to do a Shabad from the Sikh tradition and just in a few minutes for the ceremony.
Well, I want to thank everyone for inviting us. Obviously, peace conference, we need peace in the world. And the only way we can obtain it is working together on it and showing our unity. And obviously, we are so lucky to have one of the famous singers from Delhi. His name is Vijender Singh Raja, and he's here for a couple of years. But what I'm going to actually show is a similar thing what we done last year. What Guru Granth said, we have got Gurbani from the Muslim Sufi fakirs, and it actually goes like this. I'm going to say something while they're setting. Awwal Allah noor paya, Qudrat ke sab bande, ek noor te sab jag upja, kaun bhale kaun bande. Awwal Allah. First Allah created the light, then His creative power, He made all the mortal beings. Ek noor te sab jag upja, kaun bhale kaun bande. From the one light, the entire universe well done. So who is good and who is bad? mind, we are all children of the same God Almighty. We've got one Father. So let's behave like His children and have the enjoyment of this life on earth. Live together, live in peace, live in harmony.
कुदरत के सब बंदे, 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 अवले नूर पाया, अवले नूर पाया, कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे। एक नूर पे सब जग उपजिया, कौन भले को मंदे, कौन भले को मंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, 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 कुदरत के सब बंदे। लोग भरम ना भूलो भाई, भरम न भूलो भाई, भरम न भूलो भाई, खालक भगत खलक में खालक, पूरे रहो सब भाई, पूरे रहो सब भाई, कुदरत के सब बंदे, 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 कुदरत के सब बंदे। बाटी एक अनेक बात कर, साजी साजन हारे, के सब बंदे कुदरत के सब बंदे
Taking you back to the historical culture of the Sikh tradition from India also. I would now like to just pause for a small moment of silence and personal reflection. Just take a few moments, please. Thank you.
From among the people, yet there is not one soul whose conscience does not testify that in this day there is no more important matter in the world than that of universal peace. But then how can we get there? There are prerequisites for achieving peace. The abolition of war is not simply a matter of signing treaties and protocols. It is a complex task requiring a new level of commitment to resolving issues not customarily associated with the pursuit of peace. Baha'u'llah tells us, the well-being of mankind, its peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. But injustice fosters this unity, and Abdul Baha says, all religious, racial, patriotic and political prejudices are the cause of war and the destroyer of the edifice of humanity. All these must be discarded and abolished. That sounds like a tall task, but the Baha'i writings say that we each as individuals can play our part in this process. There is a need of a superior power to overcome human prejudices, a power which nothing in the world of mankind can withstand, and which will overshadow the effect of all other forces at work in human condition. That irresistible power is the love of God. In one of his talks, Abdul Baha said, concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. Thoughts of war bring destruction to all humanity, well-being, restfulness, and content. Thought of love are constructive to brotherhood, peace, friendship, and happiness. When soldiers of the world draw their swords, soldiers of God clasp each other's hand. So may all the savagery of man disappear by the mercy of God, working through the pure in heart and the sincere of soul. Do not think the peace of the world is an ideal impossible to attain. Nothing is impossible to the divine benevolence of God. If you desire with all your heart friendship with every race on earth, your thought, spiritual and positive, will spread. It will become the desire of others, growing stronger and stronger until it reaches the minds of all men. So let us call on God's mercy to help us achieve unity. O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all. Dost shelter all. Conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our ears through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind. I'd like to finish with the words of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, who, whilst he was a prisoner and in exile, over 150 years ago, gave us a vision and a promise for the future. He said, "These fruitless strifes, these ruinous wars shall pass away, and the most great peace shall come."
We'll be doing a contribution from the Hindu tradition.
So I'll start with the prayer for peace. By the way, I will have to skip some passages because of time factor. So this is a prayer for peace from the Atharva Veda. Peace be to earth and to airy spaces. Peace be to heaven. Peace to the waters. Peace to the plants and peace to the trees. May all the gods grant me peace. By this invocation of peace, may peace be diffused. By this invocation of peace, may peace bring peace. With this peace, the dreadful I appease. With this peace, all cruel I appease. With this peace, all evil I appease. So that peace may prevail, happiness prevail. May everything for us be peaceful. Mahatma Gandhi on love and friendship. It's no non-violence if we merely love those that love us. It is non-violence only when we love those who hate us. Here's a passage on friendship from Yajur Veda. That's one of the Vedas. Strong one, make me strong. May all beings look on me with the eye of friend. May I look on all beings with the eye of a friend. May we look on one another with the eye of friend. On wisdom and knowledge from one of the Upanishads. From the unreal, lead me to the real. From the darkness, lead me to the light. From death, lead me to immortality. And here is another passage from one of the Bengali poets, much loved poets of India, and his name is Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, let my country awake. And here's a passage on universal harmony and unity from one of the Vedas called the Atharva Veda. Let us have concord with our people, with our own people, and concord with people who are strangers to us. The divine twins create between us and the strangers a unity of hearts. May we unite in our minds, unite in our purposes, and not fight against the divine spirit within us. Another passage from one of the Upanishads called the Isha Upanishad. Those who seek all creatures within themselves, and themselves in all creatures, know no fear. Those who see all creatures in themselves, and themselves in all creatures, know no grief. How can the multiplicity of life delude the one who sees unity? And the next passage is from the writings of the mother, spiritual collaborator of Sri Aurobindo, the mystic poet and philosopher. They basically speak about the transformation of human consciousness. Unless we are able to transform our consciousness, we cannot begin to speak of peace or unity. There has to be a transformation from within for peace to be effective. All human beings are of the same origin and meant to manifest upon earth the unity of this origin. Shake off all narrowness, selfishness, limitations, and wake up to the consciousness of human unity. This is the only way to achieve peace and harmony. It's only by the growth and establishment of the consciousness of human unity that a true and lasting peace can be achieved on earth. Peace, peace, peace. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Sharda, for some words of wisdom from the Hindu tradition. A brief moment of pause and silence and focus on the question, please. Thank you. I would now like to call upon Muhammad Ali from the International Iqbal Society to come forward and do his presentation on Dr. Iqbal. Thank you very much.
Oxford Foundation presented this opportunity for us to come in and speak something about from the message of Allama Iqbal. I was really ecstatic about it. Then he mentioned that we will have a very limited time to propagate or share some message with you guys. So it was a difficult task to get something really concise and yet meaningful across to you in this particular time frame. So I'll do my best, but definitely it's just a flavor and teaser of things. Obviously, it's something to whet the appetite, and obviously you can build on that. And thankfully for the guys from the Rumi circle who have teed us off in the nice fashion, so I'll pick it up on the manner. So just a bit of introduction about Dr. Iqbal. Guy needs no introduction, but just for those audiences who may not be that aware of him. So Dr. Allama Iqbal is basically the poet philosopher from the East. Again, studied in Europe, stayed in Europe, and took back those learnings in the subcontinent. His message in how it inspired me and as a personal note is basically as a teacher rather than a poet philosopher. He sort of idolizes those questions which were posed in our heads at present time, and he then goes on to address those questions with answers. And in an attempt to give you something of similar sorts, this is basically sharing a small excerpt from his earlier verse, which is a poem, which is targeted towards the younger audiences and basically targeted towards the youth, which is Allama's main audience. And I think in present times that we live in, it is rather more relevant for the adults as well. The times that we find ourselves in, I think it's still quite relevant for the adults in shaping up our personalities. So without further ado, so basically the topic that we chose today, a child's prayer, it starts off with a child praying to the Almighty with supplication and with asking for those characteristics which define the virtue of a prosperous personality. So these virtues are not just beneficial for that personality himself or themselves, they are also beneficial for the people around them. So I'll walk you through this in a manner which is basically the theme Allama wants to communicate as a study, as a teaching to the younger audience or the people who are listening to this particular message. So when Allama starts off saying that लब पे आती है दुआ बन के तमन्ना मेरी जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी. Now I'm not going to go into the translation of it. I'm reciting Urdu because that's how it was sort of linguistically delivered, and I'll be doing injustice if I don't recite it in Urdu. But the message is underlying there, and the idea is Allama wants to first of all characterize light in the whole spectrum. That in this particular realm, the shamma, the candle, is the source of light. And the child is asking for life, for its own personality or its own life to be in the form of a light where he can illuminate its surroundings. Now, if you move on to the second one, the second verse, which is दूर दुनिया का दम मेरे दम से अंधेरा हो जाए, हर जगह मेरे चमकने से उजाला हो जाए. Now, what the child is doing in this particular phrase is not just idealizing light or the candle or a shama, because shama burns, but in its inner core it's dark. So it's not illuminating itself, but it's illuminating its surroundings. So what he's doing now is basically allowing the child to understand that it's also more important to illuminate inside first before you illuminate your surroundings. And that is the key part that in this verse he's trying to propagate. He's also trying to propagate that your efforts have to be directed. A lamp or a candle burns with its surrounding 360 in light. But it's more important if you can direct that light towards a direction to be more effective. So he's saying, दूर दुनिया का मेरे दम से अंधेरा हो जाए. It's not just it's like my lights myself, my surrounding, my neighbors. He's saying दूर दुनिया का, which is the whole world, the whole universe. So he's enlightening not just himself, but the beneficial for the whole community. And then the third verse is really important, where he basically says, वो मेरे दम से यूं ही मेरे चमन की ज़ीनत, मेरे वतन की ज़ीनत, जिस तरह फूल से होती है चमन की ज़ीनत. Now, essentially what it means is that you are not limiting yourself for the aspiration of light still. You are aspiring to something further, and you have to strive for something further, which is beyond light, which is the fragrance. The difference between the light and the fragrance is important because it's important. You can contain light. You can switch off electricity. You can actually close the door and you will contain the light. Fragrance is difficult to contain. It goes beyond boundaries. It goes beyond our borders. So, for example, a rose flower will still represent where its origin is when you look at the rose flower even detached from its own flower. So that's what, as a community, we need to understand that fragrance is something which gives the person, the surrounding, impression of where you came from, how beautiful that garden must have been. So it's that particular element that Allama is teaching to that child, that you need to aspire for something more than just light, which is the fragrance itself, because it's more effective. Then he goes on in the next verse when he talks about हो जिंदगी हो मेरी परवाने की सूरत यारा, इल्म की शम्मा से हो मुझको मोहब्बत यारा. Now what supplication is asking for, the child is asking for Allah, is basically his love for knowledge. And when we talk about knowledge in this particular case, it's about discovery. It's discovering oneself, it's discovering one's society, it's discovering what's relevant, what could my impressions be on the society. Now when we talk about love for knowledge, that is the key enabler, ladies and gentlemen, which allows you to aspire towards light, that allows you to elevate yourself to be a fragrance of peace and humanity. Now, that light, that urge for knowledge and discovery is the key enabler, especially amongst the younger lot here present. Knowledge is that enabler, which basically opens up doors for you to communicate, to basically understand more about other segments of the society, and to be more effective thereon. And then, in the later part of his particular application, Iqbal talks about that once you've achieved that, how can you make it actionable? How can you make it impactful to the society? Then he talks about हो मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना, दर्दमंदों से, ज़ईफ़ों से मोहब्बत करना. Now what he's trying to say and what he's trying to teach that child here is basically acquiring knowledge is not that sufficient. You have to go a step beyond. A step beyond is making it impactful, making an impact out of that. And that's what he's saying. You need to identify really early in your career, really in your life, really early in your development stages, that your life mission has to be for those who cannot help themselves. If that is the image, that is the objective of the life, then you're going to leave a legacy behind. And that's what he's saying here, that all your efforts have to be centered around the fact, how can you make improvement to the lives of others who cannot help themselves. And in the end, when he talks about all the action, all the stages of the development and the action plan, he talks about one thing which is really key, which is really pivotal to amongst all the religious sects that are present here and all the different parts of society. You have to understand that you are an enabler to all of that, but you're also a seeker. You're a benefactor to all of that, but you're also a receiver. That is again from the Maulana Room's concept of Darwesh, the wording Darwesh. If you look at the hand positioning of a Darwesh, he receives from one end and he gives to the other. And that is the key medium, that he is asking Allah in supplication that a child is being taught a lesson here, that while you are basically benefactor of the rest of the community, your inspiration comes from one source. And all the goodness comes from that source, and you always have to be on the watch out that seek his protection and seek his guidance, so not to be straight on another path, because it's easy to falter when your own ego becomes sublime. So the key message that I want to share from this particular poem, it's a really simplistic poem I could find very. Couldn't find anything simpler, but I think yet it comprehensively portrays the message across as well, which is that the key attributes of a personality, which are defined at a very early age, define how well you contribute to the society that you live in. So talking about it in a university is, I think, an ideal opportunity to talk about this one. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time and hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Famous class of Dr. Alaa Muhammad Iqbal. This is the same Iqbal who said, nations are born in the hearts of prophets, they rise and fall in the hands of politicians. There's another pearl there for you. And now I'd like to call upon the representative from the Buddhist tradition. Please come forward to the stage and do your presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone. So on behalf of our community, I'd like to say thank you for inviting us to participate in United for Peace in Bali language. And then I will read the translation in English so that we will be able to understand what it means and what's the meaning of the chant. So the sutta that I'm chosen to read is what we call Karaniya Metta Sutta. In English, Hymn of Universal Love. The Buddhist teaching aims to create peace, and Buddhism is against all forms of violence, and you may be able to learn some teachings from what we're going to chant. So now I will chant the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Karaniya Matha Kusalena Yantang Santang Patang Apisame Jasako Ocho Jasuhocho Jasuvajo Jasamutu Anadimani Santo Sako Jasuparo Jaapake Jasan Lavukawati Sanprin Rio Janipakon Pakapo Gule Su Anandakitona Jakotam Samajare Ginjiyena Vimyo Pare Upawatayo Sukhino Honto Sape Sata Pavanto Sukhitata Ye Ketipana Bhota Tita
จตุเรวสันติอวิทุเรภูตาวาสัมภเวสีวาสาเพสัตตาภวันตุสุขิตาตานปโรปรังนิโกเพธนาติมันเยทกาตตินังอินจิพยาโรสนาปฏิอสัญญาณัญญมัญญาสัทโธคมิจฉัยยมาตายธานิยังปวดตังอายุสาเอกปวดตมนุรักขิเอวัมปิสาภโพเตสุมาณสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณังเวตัญจะสัพพโรกัสมิงมาณสัมภาวะเยอปริมาณังอุทธังอโทจติริยัญจะอสัพพาทังอเวรังอสัพพัตตังเตทัญจารังนิเสสโนวาสยานโนวายาวตาสวิคตมิตโมเอตังสติงอจิตไทยพระมเมตังวิหารังอิธมาหุติจะอนุปคัมมศีลวาทัสสเนนะสัมปันโนกาเมสุวินัยเทธังนายิชาตุขัพพสัยยังปุณเรติติ
So if you like, you may look at the translation. I don't know what page. So the translation of Karaniyammetta Sutta, or Hymn of Universal Love. This is what is be done by one is in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be ever upright, straightforward and genuine in that good speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unordinate with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise fools let them reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong or none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any beings in any state. Let none true anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with abundant heart, choose one to his own living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies, and downwards to the depth, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one to sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding by not holding to fixed rules, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all senses, on sense desire, is not born again into this world. So the translation of Karaniyammetta Sutta is always charmed by a Buddhist monk. It's just to bless the people, and as I said before that, the Buddhist teachings aim to create peace, and we are against all form of violence. And in fact, we have another chapter, but I think we don't have much time. So thank you for your attention.
From Alexander Massey, who will be doing a musical compilation and hymns and praise from the Jewish tradition. I'll just give him a few moments as he sets up. Thank you very much.
Shalom.
Shalom. I wanted to begin with the word shalom, meaning peace. In Jewish tradition, shalom, the word peace, means more than just the end of war. It comes from a Hebrew word which is shlemut, which means wholeness or completion. So we have this at the heart of our concept of shalom. And to reach wholeness and completion is a huge aspiration, perhaps, and yet it's something that we, I feel, must aspire to. So, the whole of life, the whole of my life, I think of as a process, an intention of an awkward verb, let's make it one up, shaloming, trying to shalom the world. And there's a beautiful teaching in Judaism about this word shalom. It begins with the letter shin, which represents the symbol esh, fire. And the word ends with the letter mem, which represents mayim, water. And we have a name of God, Shem, again, sh, this fire and this water, to begin and end the word. We have the word shamayim, heaven. Again, it begins with fire and ends with water. There is this idea that shalom is this reconciliation of opposites, this struggle of how do we find a way to bring two apparently impossible opposites together. How do we embrace that? So, with that in mind, what I'd like to do now is to read my own poetic translation, interpretation and expansion on a Jewish text that we are taught to say twice every day. And it's called the Shema. And you'll hear this idea of making the connection with the divine, and connecting these opposites. It's a longer text than you have in the booklet, by the way. Shema, hear. Let the whisper of the infinite enter the secret chamber of your heart. Yearning is a gift. From within, it pierces the shell you build around who you truly are. Wrestle with the infinite. Limbs entwined, skin on skin, breath on breath, you and the great mystery can meet yourselves, touch, dissolve, become one. There is no other, no otherness. All that has been, all that is, and all that shall be, all comes from one, and all is one. Life is our joint inheritance, and makes us kin. Baruch, blessed, fount of all blessings, beginning and home, we kneel in the cup of your hand. Shem, the great name of God, fire and water in a single name, essence and honour flow from heaven. Kavod, the glory of God, our eyes look down as hearts reach up. We see your back, but not your face. Our minds cannot fathom glory above in glory below. Malchuto, you are king, and we your kingdom. Shekhinah, queen and bride, who dwells within, come, lie with us. Le'olam va'ed, forever and ever, sustaining gaze through space and time, ground of being beyond before, no end, no end, no end, no end. The mystical command, embrace everything, is also a loving invitation. Direct your whole awareness only to love. Dedicate all that you have and all that you are to love. Today is when you begin. Embrace everything. Let those words rest on your heart and guide you when you speak. They are your legacy to sharpen mind and purpose. Breathe them into all you create, your children and the generations that follow you. Embrace everything. Let those words be on your lips in your private moments and when you are with others, when you stand in the divine flame and when you are shattered into many sparks. At the end of your days and at the beginning of your days, embrace everything. Those words are lullaby and wake-up call in one. They simultaneously console and challenge. Let them guide your hands and your awareness and intentions, and your deeds and your very being will be an inspiration and light to others. May these words find a place in your home and a home in your innermost heart. I'm very aware that we've had, after these sacred moments, these prayerful moments, we've had applause. It's an interesting juxtaposition. And it makes me think of a story from a Jewish mystic, the Baal Shem Tov, from our tradition in the 18th century. And he taught that when we're happy, we clap. And he gave a profound teaching around this idea. Because he said, it seems to me that most of the time my right hand's doing something over here and it's minding its own business and it thinks it knows what it wants to do and it doesn't much like the left hand. And he says, you're a crazy lefty. And the left hand is doing its own thing, looking after itself, and he gets annoyed with the other hand. He says, oh, you always think you're right. And sometimes these two, when they're feeling really happy, they just spontaneously come together and they clap. And then all we have is the music and the dance. And the left says to the right, Shalom Aleichem. And the right says to the left, Aleichem Shalom.
Compilation on the verses of Shalom, and I don't know about the audience, but for me, it just took me into another realm in terms of kind of the inner peace that we can get just through that word itself. I'm now going to ask Sam Anthony, if he's here. He is, it is wonderful. If you can come forward now to do your presentation on James Wilbur's Christian worship. I can see you've got your guitar. Do you need to connect it to anything, or are you going to?
Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love in our eyes, made of your love, sweetest nation, causes so long to arise, give us a fresh understanding of brotherly love that is sweet. Let there be love shared among us. Let there be love. Let there be peace shared among us. Let there be peace in our eyes, made of your peace, sweetest nation, causes so long to arise, give us a fresh understanding of brotherly peace that is real. Let there be peace shared among us. Let there be peace. Let there be joy shared among us. Let there be joy in our eyes, made of your joy, sweetest nation, causes so long to arise, give us a fresh understanding of brotherly joy that is sweet. Let there be joy shared among us. Let there be joy. Let there be joy shared among us. Let there be joy.
His name is, he's an art Khan and a poet, an Urdu poet. An art Khan basically is somebody who recites poetry in praise of the Prophet and also poetry across many different streams. He's going to be reciting some poetry from a classical Sufi from the Pakistani subcontinent called Wasif Ali Wasif. He was an influential thinker, philosopher, and I'm just going to give him a few moments now to set up the stage.
Brother Kaleem Hussain, who invited me here. I'm from Wasat and back state of Jammu Kashmir in South Asia. So I will read very beautiful poetry. The late Wasif Ali Wasif. He was a good poet and philosopher and was a professor. In this poetry, he teaches us that this is temporary life. So we are here for a while. Pardesi kad tak rehna, aakhir des sadara. चार दा मेला अज आए कोठा तेरा दूर ठिकाना वासिफ यार हनेरे निकले जो मिट्टी जो दाना बेबाजार विकांदा यूसुफ आप मालिक घरदा वेखन वाले वेख ना सकदे यूसुफ दिल भरदा याद जुलेखा मिस्र ले आई आया डिगदा मरदा वासिफ यार मैं उस दे सदके जो बरदे दा बरदा. And this kalam is written by my own about mother. Oh, 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 oh. एक करमादा एक रुख वे माँ. Mother is the tree of blessings and love. करमादा एक रुख वे माँ दिल दा चैन ते सुख वे माँ रज के वेखा सूरत तेरी फेर भी आखा भुख वे माँ माए मेरी मेरी करा रो रो दुआवां में मिट्टी तेरे पैरों दी अखां नाल लावां में माए माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी सुन दुखां दियां हवानी जीवे कोई किवें जदों मर जाण मावानी माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी असां ए मुड़ के नहीं आना वे खाली हत्थें आए साथे. We came in this world with empty hands and we will move from with empty hands. खाली हत्थें आए साथे खाली हत्थें जाना वे माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी इन्हां अखां विच पानी है याद तेरी दिल विचों कदी भी ना जानी है माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी दिल होया लीरो लीर वे की कुछ दसां डाडी तकदीर वे माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी दिल होया चूरो चूर वे रोंदा छड़ पुत्रां नूं गई बड़ी दूर वे माए मेरी ओ माए मेरी करा रो रो दुआवां में मिट्टी तेरे पैरों दी अखां
big thank you to Lala Abdul Qadir, and poetry from Wasif Ali Wasif, talking about the temporality of our existence in this world and the importance of the mother. That was absolutely pretty much resonating and touching a chord in our heart. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Fatih Al-Jamil, who will be giving us a rendition from Sudanese culture. And along we have with him Hassan Salih Al-Noor, who will also be joining Dr. Fatih Al-Jamil, again in some form of duet, giving you a presentation on Sudanese music. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May peace be upon everybody here and on all humanity. We are very grateful for the invitation by Brother Khalil to come and participate in this wonderful, very nice event. I'm accompanied with my brother Hassan, who is a famous singer from the Nubian part of Sudan, northern Sudan, but he sings all Sudanese songs. And I would like to start with a very famous Sudanese poem, which is called Ana Sudani Ana. I am a Sudanese, I am. In fact, in Sudan, people love their country to the degree that almost every day there is a new song, a new poem about love to the land and to the nation of that country. I am a Sudanese, I am. I am a Sudanese, I am. I am a Sudanese, I am a Sudanese, I am. Every part of Sudan is a homeland for us. We feel proud of Sudan and fall in love with it. We always sing for the beauty. No other beauty attracts our attention. Wherever we are overwhelmed with our memories that fill us with the longing and yearning to our homeland. We dream about it, about its beauty. We ask ourselves, can such a beauty be accorded a value? We devise hardships courageously, with no fear even if hardships pour down as heavy rain. I am a Sudanese. I am. I am a Sudanese. I am. All people, we belong to a nation that modernized and developed any land they went into. If their name is mentioned, glory is mentioned. Glory feels proud and becomes more glorious for being connected with us. We root the land that we invaded with justice for so long. With such times of glory and justice come back again, our good image continued to be echoed through ages of history, and it has no shame or spots of death. My ancestors immigrated to other lands with no intention to be unjust or to mistreat anyone. They granted safety. Others have chests full of hatred and grudges. The portrait of Arabians originates from generosity. It is to Arabians that origins of intelligence can be traced. Time awakened all hostilities and difference between our ancestors. So many nations in history vanished through disorder and disagreement. I am a Sudanese. I am a Sudanese. I am a Sudanese. Oh my homeland. Oh my homeland. Oh my homeland. Oh homeland that is embracing our good qualities and pride. We are like rivers of paradise pouring floods of life. The flow of the Nile grants sustenance. As the Nile dances through these meadows, and the green young branches swing with joy, and birds singing happily, like lovers overwhelmed with emotions. Everyone, old and young, celebrates and deeply care about the holiness of our homeland. We gladly present our souls in sacrifice for Sudan. We perish, but Sudan remains in eternity. I am a Sudanese. I am a Sudanese. I am a Sudanese. Surely I am a Sudanese. Thank you. The pyramids, we have the Nile, and we have the most beautiful place in the world.
Thank you.
Hand in hand together we'll stand, and slowly, slowly our humanity will restore. To the humans we are truly within, it's our duty now, so we must begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Hafsa and Aisha Bibi. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. I would now like to call up Dr. Islam Isa. Is he in the building? Oh, he is wonderful. Wonderful. I'm going to call upon Dr. Islam Isa, who's going to be just talking about the principle and description of Eden and the state of happiness, the Edenic state of happiness. Thank you. Is the mic okay? Fine.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Really happy to be here. As somebody who reads and researches and writes about poetry for a living, I think this is a great use of poetry, practical use of poetry. I research cultural relations between Middle East and English literature, essentially. It's culminated so far in a book called Milton in the Arab Muslim World, which is about the poet John Milton and his presence in the Islamic world and how he's used and appropriated and the role of poetry in bringing these cultures together. We're often made to think of certain cultures as founding certain aspects of our identities. I'm proud to have a foot in both identities, but I wanted to pick an Arabic poem that was preceding the English poem, because I think that English literature does take a lot from literature from around the world. We should celebrate our similarities. We should also celebrate our differences. But I'd like to just think for a moment. About what these similarities are. So both figures that I'm going to read poetry from today are relatively controversial in their time and today. Ibn Qayyim was born in Damascus in 1292. He became an Orthodox Sunni scholar who today is known to have many literal interpretations of the scripture. But we make divide and conquer easier than it should be. For example, Ibn Qayyim, it's said, it's commonly thought that he spoke out against mysticism and spirituality, whereas in fact he was very keen on both of these. For example, he praised Khawaja Ansari, an important Sufi figure, and even called him the Shaykh of Islam due to his spirituality. He took much more interest in spirituality than many of his contemporaries, and he was also a poet. But I think the key here is that we shouldn't believe everything we hear or the stereotypes. Life is not binary, you're not either this or that, but you take the best from everyone. John Milton is the second poet, born 1608, a key English poet who wrote one of the most important poems in the English language, Paradise Lost, in which he imagines Adam and Eve in Eden and tells the story of their temptation and eviction. Milton was a heretic of sorts during his time. He advocated divorce, he rejected the Trinity, he even played a part in the execution of King Charles I, and in poetry he rejected rhyme. He said that rhyme was a bondage, and so by writing without rhyme, he was actually creating a kind of personal freedom and political freedom. Milton wrote Paradise Lost after the monarchy returned to power, after many of his friends had been executed, and after he had turned blind. Both passages are about heaven. So from the 14th century, Ibn Qayyim's description of heaven. Bunches of grapes and garden apples and pomegranates and fruits that enthrall the heart, and roses adorn its fields like red cheeks, and wine to combine the taste. All manners of beauty are gathered together. Oh, what a wondrous gathering it is. And if the whole world should feel narrow on you, and you should have not even a known place to stay, then race to the gardens of Eden, our first home, and in them is our haven. Moving on to Paradise Lost and some lines from Book 4. Of goodliest trees loaden with fairest fruits, blossoms and fruits at once of golden hue, appeared with gay enamelled colours mixed, on which the sun more glad impressed his beams, than in fair evening cloud or humid bough, when God hath showered the earth, so lovely seemed that landscape, and a pure and a purer air meets his approach, and to the heart inspires vernal delight and joy, able to drive all sadness with despair. Now gentle gales fanning their odorous wings dispense native perfumes and whisper whence they stole those balmy spoils. Thus was this place a happy, rural seat of various view. Groves whose rich trees wept odorous gums and balm, others whose fruit burnished with golden rind hung amiable. If true, here only, and of delicious taste, betwixt them lawns or level downs and flocks grazing the tender herb were interposed, or palmy hillock or flowery lap of some irriguous valley spread her store, flowers of all hue, and without thorn the rose. Another side, umbrageous grots in caves of cool recess, over which the mantling vine lays forth her purple grape, and gently creeps luxuriant. Meanwhile, murmuring waters fall down the sloped hills, dispersed, or in a lake, that to the fringed bank with myrtle crowned her crystal mirror holds. Unite their streams, the birds their choir apply, airs, vernal airs breathing the smell of field and grove. Both poems don't describe heaven as anything extraordinary. They're just fruits and gardens. It could very much be on earth. Milton's is very much an English garden. So it's a state of mind. These passages have that in common. But not only in terms of their topic and description, but in terms of what they say about human nature. Why do so many faiths believe in some variation of the story of Adam and Eve, or in some idea of the afterlife? Or if I asked you, what do you want from life? Many people would have one answer: happiness. These two poems share similarities in the universal idea of what we as humans perceive as perfection and happiness. In other words, as humankind, we share one common and vital value. In leading our lives, whether we know it or not, we are all naturally trying to reach an Edenic state, a state of Eden. An Edenic state of our own, a state of mind, a state of perfection, if possible, but most importantly, it's a state of happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Islam Isa, for that wonderful description of the Edenic state of happiness. I would now like to call upon Ahmad Nawaz, who is the APS victim of the Peshawar attack. Ahmad, we'll be talking about the importance of education, his campaign on education, and obviously also talking on the principles of poetry in alignment with this evening's presentation and overall theme. Thank you.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful and beneficent. First of all, I would like to thank Karimullah for inviting me here, and all of you for coming here. My name is Ahmed Nawaz, and I'm a victim of a terrible Taliban attack that took place at a school in the northwestern city of Pakistan, Peshawar, on 16 December 2014, in which I was shot and badly injured and sadly lost my younger brother Haris, who was killed at the hands of Taliban. I had to play dead during the incident, the horrific incident, and it's probably one of the reasons I am alive standing here before you. 141 people, including 132 children, ranging between 8 and 18, were brutally killed in what is the most horrific terrorist attack of Pakistan. Ever since this horrific incident, I have had to endure a lot, both psychologically and physically, on my road to recovery following this dramatic episode for me and my family members too. I'm grateful to the medical services here, who played a pivotal part in my recovery. I have not let this horrific incident of 16 December 2014 dishearten me in any way. In fact, It has inspired me to start an initiative and campaign for education. I have started a campaign for education and peace since September 2015. I have been visiting different schools and sharing my experience and story regarding the horrific atrocities that unfolded on 16 December 2014. I am striving to stop school children who have any inclination of traveling to Syria, Iraq, Libya and other countries to join different terrorist groups. I'm telling students that I'm a real victim of the brutality of these terrorist groups, and my life has been affected by the crimes of these people, along with many of my friends. The propagators of these acts of terror are not true Muslims. They are not humans, and one should not be lured by their devious traps. I have visited more than 40 schools, and so far I'm informing students that the path of the terrorist groups advocate is evil and inhumane path that seeks to radicalize susceptible individuals to their rap narrative, which leads to devastating and catastrophic end for them as individuals and society at large. I'm informing students about how they can play a positive role in their society. They live here in the UK by being useful to their fellow citizens in all walks of life, and how such acts are the noblest and most virtuous acts in terms of fulfilling the obligations of their respective faith and the duties as the citizens of UK. As a victim of atrocious abuse attack in Pakistan, I would now like to recite a poetic eulogy in remembrance of all the victims of terrorism around the world, in particular the recent Westminster attack, the attack in Stockholm, the attack in Sweden, and attacks around the world. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families of these atrocious acts. Their lives were not in vain, nor are they in any pain, for it is the terrorists that are in a state of disdain, a state of eternal pain, where there shall be no gain. They claim to fight for what is right, but their plight is full of fright and no light. They say in the end things will be all right, but what they leave is heedlessness, darkness, and now without any delight. They claim to be the peacemakers, for verily indeed they are the peace breakers. Their path is that of delusion, all illusion and of confusion. They expose to a path of martyrdom and temporary stardom, a path of dreams, but what we see is all but extremes. IS, ISIS, ISIL, whatever their names, their ends shall all be the same. Hail to the victims of terror, your remembrance shall be an eternal remembrance. For verily you are our true martyrs and eternal bright stars, our robe and beacons of hope. United we stand in your cause, a cause in which we shall not pause. United for love, peace, unity and harmony. United in solidarity for this great, universal, eternal cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Nawaz, for your presentation on education and your poetic eulogy for the victims of terrorism. My sincere apologies, I've been engrossed in the program and tried to rattle through it, and I realize that I've missed one individual out, which is Irfan Taher, who is going to now be talking on the poetry of Punjab by what they call the Rumi of Kashmir, which is Mian Muhammad Baksh. So I call upon Irfan Taher, my apologies. Please recite.
Awwal hamd sana ilahi जो मालिक हर दा उस दा नाम चतारन वाला उस दा नाम चतारन वाला इसे मैदान नहर दा सदा नबागा सदा नबागा बुलबुल बोले सदा नामोज बहारा सदा नमा पे हुस्न जवानी सदा नमा पे हुस्न जवानी सदा न सोहबत यारा लोए 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 भर ले कुड़िए जे तुद भांडा भरना शाम पई बिन शाम मुहम्मद शाम पई बिन शाम मुहम्मद कर जा दीन डरना ते ले ओ यार ते ले ओ यार हवाले रब दे ते मेले 4 दिनां दे उस दिन ईद मुबारक होसी ओए उस दिन ईद मुबारक होसी ते जिस दिन फेर मिलांगे Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nafarkar. That was absolutely wonderful. You brought the kalam of Maulana Mian Mohammad Baksh alive in this audience this evening. I would now like to call upon Dr. Andrew Davis to come forward and do a presentation on the Christian worship song, Still.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Davis. I'm the head of the theology department here at the university, and I happen to be a Christian. I was just thinking earlier, as we've been talking about peace today, there are quite a lot of ways in which that peace is very much not evident in our world today. Ahmad's story is kind of just one of many illustrations of that. And part of the reason we're gathered here together as people representing various faiths and maybe people of no faith at all, part of the reason our faith is so important to us is because that's where we find the peace that sustains us through those times and through those circumstances. And for me as a Christian, I find that peace in my faith in God and my faith in Jesus. And this is a song basically that just says something about the peace that we can find in our trust in God.
Beautiful offerings on peace and unity. It's really just been divine, really, to hear from everyone, so thank you. We are from Rumi Circle. We're a group of friends who came together to share the love message of unity by Mawlana Jalaluddin Rumi. Our group is mostly comprised of students who follow the Mawlavi Sufi order, which was founded by Mawlana Rumi's son, Sultan Walid. Our teachers are based in America, and we will have part of our worship, along with Salah and Zikr, which we had a beautiful example of this evening. We also do whirling dervish ceremonies. The whirling dervish is a moving example of worship in motion. Somebody earlier this evening already described the Sama. Sama is basically worship. It can be through our voice, it can be through our bodies, it can be internal. And touching on something that was also said earlier today, we'd like to request that instead of clapping, we invite you to share your joy by joining us internally. As the whirling dervish turns, with each turn, inwardly, he or she is reciting the name of God. This could be Allah, it could be Rahman, Rahim. It could be anything that connects you to the divine within yourselves. We would like to invite each of you tonight to join us as we inwardly recite that which we hold most dear. And it could be from any tradition, any words, or it could be wordless. But with the Asema ceremony, with our form of worship, there is no performance and audience. Everybody is part of it. And we believe that the more we are all in tune with that energy, the more the dervish can feel, and it enhances the turning experience. So we'd like to invite you all to join us as we worship together. A certain man came and knocked at a friend's door. His friend asked him, "Who is there?" He answered, "It's me." The friend said, "Go away. It's not the time. There is no place for the raw at this table. What will cook the raw one except for the fire of absence and separation? What will deliver him from hypocrisy?" The wretched man went away, and for a year he travelled. In separation from his friend, he burned with the sparks of fire. That burned one was slowly cooked until he returned and again paced back and forth before the house of his friend. With mindful shyness, he knocked at the door, so no word of disrespect might escape from his lips. "Who is at the door?" his friend called. "It is thou, O charmer of hearts," he answered. "Now," said the friend, "since thou art I, come in, O myself. There was never room in this house for two eyes." What shall I do, O Muslims? I do not recognize myself. I am neither Christian nor Jew, nor Magian nor Muslim. I am not of the East, nor of the West, nor of the land, nor of the sea. I am not from nature's mind, nor from the circling stars. I am neither of earth nor water, neither of wind nor fire. I am not of the Empyrean, nor of the dust on this carpet. I am not of the deep, nor from behind. I am not of this world nor the next, not of heaven, nor of purgatory. My place is the placeless. My trace is the traceless. It is not the body, nor is it the soul, for I belong to the soul of my love. I have put duality away and seen the two worlds as one. One I seek, one I know, one I see, one I call. He is first, he is last, he is outward, he is inward. I know of nothing but who, nothing but him.
عليه ربي صلى
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, yet again, come, come.
Rolling dervishes, the zikr according to the tariqah, which is the Maulawi tariqah. Now we're coming towards the end of these proceedings, and I'd just like to say we've been on a wonderful journey this evening. I'm sure you testify to that, across the various traditions, faiths and none. And you've been kind of immersed in the culture of those traditions. And obviously encapsulated in that was the core tenets, which is the principles of unity, peace, love, harmony and wisdom. And I'm sure you would acknowledge that across those traditions we've kind of brought to the fore those core principles through the presentation that we had this evening. I would just like to now conclude and say a big thank you to everybody who's obviously made this event possible. First and foremost to Andrea Buchner for her constant, obviously I've been bombarding with emails upon email over the last couple of weeks, and she's just been acknowledging and obviously making this event put together. So I'd just like to pull her up onto the stage and a little token of gift for yourself. Also like to thank Dr. Andrew Davis for the Ed Recovery Centre, obviously for the partnership with the Oxford Foundation to bring this event together. Thank you very much for that. I'd also like to thank obviously the chaplaincy for giving us this wonderful venue. This event would not be possible to take your time out, and cannot obviously say for all the wonderful participants who have made this event the event that it is, in the wonderful contributions in their own unique way that has led us to obviously have this wonderful tapestry which we created this evening. And above all, I'd like to say a big thank you to Mom Manover, who obviously kept faith with me when I first thought of this idea. So he didn't think I was crazy or something, so he obviously led with me and gave me all the support in the background, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Mom Manover. As a final gesture, I'd just like to conclude this evening with a verse, a famous verse from Imam Fakhruddin Razi. He's a great commentator of the Holy Quran, and he states, "The worship of the eyes is weeping, the worship of the hand is giving, the worship of the body is effort, and the worship of the heart is hope, and the worship of the spirit is surrender and satisfaction in God." On that note, I would like to conclude this evening's proceedings, and you can now obviously make your way to the food hall. Also, as a token, a good gesture, we've actually got some roses for you, so as you leave this evening, you can take away some wonderful roses. Hopefully they're still wet and you can take them home to obviously blossom in the near future. And obviously, if I missed anybody out, thank you to Nadeem for the sound system and managing the deck. I'd obviously like to thank my wife who's at the back there, persevere and obviously over the weeks that I've been trying to get this event together. So thank you to Zara also. And on that note, I would like to conclude this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.